Yes, I've taken off my jacket. Yes, I've changed the background color to create the illusion that time has passed just like a returning champion would. And now, this video is all about me leaving my home in Mesa, Arizona, all the way to crawling up as a contestant and the camera's turning on Jeopardy. Let's go. Okay, so yep, I got the date. The instructions were to show up at Sony Picture Studios parking garage at 7 a.m. on Monday, November 30th. I was ready to go. So a few days before, I left the place from which I was isolating, went and stayed a night in Joshua Tree, California. I drove, got my haircut in Palm Springs, and then went to my hotel at the Travelodge, which is about half a mile away from the studio, and I was gonna film Jeopardy. It was happening. California at the time was actually on stay-at-home orders, so my decision to just stay in my hotel room and twiddle my thumbs with pre-Jeopardy activities was kind of made for me. So pre-Jeopardy activities that I had chosen, one is to go get a glass of wine, and two, rehearse my interview banter. So like I said before, we already knew exactly what we were going to talk about, so I rehearsed my little small talk one-liners ready to go. It went okay. I wasn't super happy with it, so I had a glass of wine. And then I rehearsed again, and it was getting better. So then I had a glass of wine, and then I tried to see if any of my studying had stuck and name any Ernest Hemingway novels. Okay, this is exactly indicative of how it went. Name any Ernest Hemingway novels, and the only one that I could actually get out was the sunset one in Spain that had the love triangle, and that's also how I described it in my head. Still couldn't name the actual title of it. And that was frustrating, so I had another glass of wine and rehearsed my banter again, and things were going a lot better with that. So that's what I stuck with. And then about 6 p.m., I decided I needed to lay in bed. I mean, I had already been fairly sleep deprived from the previous nights, A, from camping, and B, from, just being really nervous. But this night, I really couldn't sleep. Just, too much knowledge in my head. Anxiety. I meant to say anxiety. Too much anxiety. Couldn't sleep. And I decided 4 a.m. is probably when I should stop putting on the charade of trying to sleep. So 4 a.m., I went across the street, got a 64-ounce cup of extra caffeinated coffee, drank it, grabbed all my changes of clothes, and headed to the parking garage, which was 6:30 by that point. Got to the parking garage and I saw no signs. I just drove right up the parking garage. Now, there may have been signs, but you can, I'm only noticing one of every 25 things that's happening around me at any given moment, given, the caffeine and the sleep deprivation. Anyways, I grab my garment bag, walk around the parking garage, probably look like some form of a bridge troll going to a job interview, but I saw some other people who are also carrying a week's worth of clothing with them in Sony Picture Studios. So I put two and two together and just followed them. To which we worked together and found the Jeopardy Corral, which was right, at the parking garage entrance on the first floor. Very obvious, couldn't miss it, but I did. And that's where I met Lori, contestant producer, who had a clipboard, and she said, "Hi." And she also said, "What's your name?" I said, "Cameron." And she, what I was hoping was going to say, was, "Hi, Cameron, I'm so sorry. You've probably realized by now, but we've made a mistake and you're not actually supposed to be here. So you're gonna have to leave right now. Would you like an Uber or a Lyft?" To which I would have said, "Lyft, thank you, goodbye." Went home, totally relieved. But instead, what she said is, "Hi, what's your name?" And I said, "Cameron." And she said, "Welcome, have a seat over there." And that's where that feeling started, where you're at the top of the roller coaster and you're just getting higher and higher and higher. You're just clenching every muscle in your body, and you're just like, this is gonna be bad, something bad's happening, but it's too late to crawl out. And I just sat there like this, just physically and mentally just contracted and clenched and until the other 13 contestants arrived. So anyway, that inner dialogue of never left the whole day. That was an ongoing theme. But once the 13 contestants were all there, we went over to our orientation, which took place in none other but the Wheel of Fortune set. They were actually right next to each other, so we just sat on the Wheel of Fortune set while Karina, contestant producer, explained all the rules of Jeopardy, of which there are a plenty that you don't get to see. Maybe some of the more interesting ones are if there's a tie between first and second, at the end of Final Jeopardy, they have tiebreaker questions, which you do get to see on TV from time to time. But in the case where there's a tiebreaker question that nobody gets it right, they'll just throw up another one. And they do that over and over until somebody finally wins the game. And the interesting thing is you'll only see the last one on TV. So there's been scenarios, allegedly, where there's 4 or 5 or even like 6 questions, don't quote me on that, where nobody gets it, but you only see the last one. So I thought that was pretty nifty. Other things are just the randomness of it all that we went over. So there are 5 shows taped in a day, but there's actually 6 shows worth of questions that are written. And the questions don't get assigned to the show until 15 minutes beforehand. So the reason they have a 6th set of questions is so there's some level of uncertainty and randomness, even down to the last show. Other randomness, contestants. Contestants also don't know what show they're going to be on until 15 minutes that they're supposed to be on. And then finally, even the podium placements are random. So once the 2 contestants are selected, there's the returning champion before, they are always on the host and they're always in the podium that's closest to the host. But the other 2 contestants need to decide their podiums. So the person whose last name alphabetically goes first will point to an offstage staff member who's standing like this, socially distanced and safely away, one with one center podium ping pong ball and one with some end podium ping pong ball. And the person who's alphabetically first among the 2 new contestants gets to point. And that's how podiums are assigned. So in Jeopardy, just in general, it's just very, very fair, very random, very equal. It's a very pure and honest and true competition. So it was really cool to see behind the scenes on that. So after the rules, we had to go up and get our sound on with a little mic pack and makeup, but socially distant versions. I mean, the sound wasn't that fancy other than the person that was doing it, who was very nice, and I'm sorry I don't remember their name, was just in basically a full hazmat suit because he's the only person that actually had to touch the, contestants' clothes or come within that 6 feet. So that was very safely and carefully and distantly done as much as possible. And then the other step was makeup. So for that, we got these nifty bags. So we got this one badge that said that our COVID test had actually, passed and that we were screened. And then we got some fun contents in here. So for makeup, we were just given one of these pads and a mirror. And our instructions, which normally I don't think we would have been doing this ourselves, but we were for safety, is to just swipe this on our forehead to get rid of the shine. And we had to do this to start the day, and then during rehearsal for camera check, and then during our actual show on commercial breaks, we were continually taking this little pad out of this bag, which was sitting at our feet on the podiums, to make sure that we were looking, not like the oily grease balls that at least I was. So that worked great. There were also tissues and hand sanitizer in the bag. So yeah, fun stuff, little goodies that y'all get to keep and be socially distanced and safe with. So that was it. Makeup check, sound all taken care of, and then it's time for rehearsal, which thank goodness for rehearsal, because at that point I was just so nervous and my inner voice was just screaming, and the rehearsal took that screaming down like a quarter decibel, which, I'll take it. I needed everything that I could get because, oh my God, everything was just so happening so quickly, and I was, hoping that no Ernest Hemingway question was gonna come up or any other author. I was just hoping that maybe my opponents would forfeit. Anyways, we went to the rehearsal, and that was actually hosted by Jimmy from the Clue Crew. I don't know if he normally does rehearsals, but he did for us, and he was phenomenal. If he's ever rotating around as a guest host, I'm all in for that. He was super nice and very supportive throughout the day. And we went and kind of collectively, among everybody that was there to take the 5 shows for that day, played one game of Jeopardy, split up 5 different times. So we were grouped alphabetically by last name, and then as a white side, I actually got to practice Final Jeopardy. That was really cool. Got to use, the pen on the board, which is essentially like one of those credit card signature things that you sign at the grocery store, except, slightly, much better designed. And played the rehearsal, and then bam, it was Jeopardy time. Shows were going to start taping, and we didn't even know who was going to be the contestant. So they brought in the returning champion from the week before, and then called 2 contestants and neither one was me. And thank goodness, because I don't know what I would have done. I mean, you know, I would have got up there. I don't think I would have left. I might have left. But anyways, it wasn't me. So as, you know, socially distanced COVID Jeopardy operation operates, there were no audience members. The contestants from future weeks were the audience members. So my job was to try not to, again, pass out. My goal is to stay conscious. Clap when a daily double comes up, clap when the host comes out, and don't shout out the answers, which I was already really good at, especially if I don't know the answers. It's really hard to shout them out. So we're good to do that. That show finished. Next show, 15 minutes later, they call out 2 more contestants, and neither one is me again. So that voice yelling in my head gets a little softer of a scream. It's a very soft-ish scream for the next, 30 minutes while this one's taping. And then we break to lunch after that. Go to lunch, all chat in the parking garage in our same little contestant corral, and then they announce the next 2 contestants. And I noticed that one of the contestants, the name started with a C. So I just didn't do much until they announced it again and said Cameron, and it was me. I was going to play Jeopardy. So I ran to the bathroom with my water bottle that had the wine from the night before, drank it, and then came out and I was ready to go. And the cameras are actually rolling for the next part. And you get to see that on Wednesday, January 13th here. Join the Zoom viewing party if you want. Otherwise, that'll be uploaded as my next video. Bye.